Hi, Tommie Nichole here. For those of you who don't know me, I wanted to do this video because I wanted to share a little bit of my story the last 10 to 15 years compared to the last year. I just turned 34 in May, so quite a story, but I'm telling you, I've come a long way, and I'm just hoping that it can encourage somebody or inspire somebody that it is possible and you can have your dreams and you can dream bigger. So um, back to college, I had met a guy who I fell madly in love with, and we were together for almost 8 years, and I thought that was who I was going to be with the rest of my life. I loved him, and even though it probably wasn't the healthiest relationship, I just thought that that's where I was going to be. He got a dream job and asked me to up and move with him, and I did. I quit school. I gave up everything to travel several states away with him. And so, long story short, it didn't work out. And now, I mean, 3 or 4 years later, I realized it was a blessing and a lesson, and I take it in stride. However, what that did do to me was put me in a really bad financial situation. I was a brand new personal trainer in a brand new state, trying to build my clientele, and when our relationship fell apart, so did everything else. And I tried to stay there and make it work, and I charged everything on credit cards because I've made minimal, and at that time we lived in a big house, and I drove a new car, and just everything that didn't fit with my budget. So it put me in a really bad financial situation. Not only an unstable, I don't want to say mentally because I wasn't mental, but I was hurt and I was broken. And so I carried a lot of bitter and anger and hurt with me through most of my life. And I think after that, relationship after relationship, nothing was really ever long term, just because I was so hurt and I didn't want to commit. I didn't want to fall in love again like that and get hurt again. So I just jumped from relationship to relationship and job to job, and I was never happy. I was always searching for somebody or something to fill that void of happiness, and all the while just finding myself with more hurt and more debt and more anger. And I met my now husband, it's almost 6 years ago, and I knew I liked him, and I knew that he had something about him that just intrigued me. But man, that really love word scared me. And so we started dating, and the minute it got serious, I ran from it. And we did this for probably, oh Lord bless his heart, a good few years. And finally he said to me, "I'm done. You're done breaking my heart." And at that point I realized I could have lost probably the best thing that ever happened to me. So I really tried to do some soul searching and some God searching, and by God's grace we got back together, and we are married to this day. However, it hasn't been an easy journey. We've been married almost 3 years, and we just we have a year-old child. Actually, this month he'll be a year old. And so in the time I've been with my husband, I've grown little by little. However, I still was just afraid and still fearful of failing. And yet I still jumped from job to job, searching and seeking some happiness, and never finding it, and always just living in this state of denial maybe, and hurt. And so I knew I had to make some changes. So I really dove hot and heavy into church and God, and I just asked God to help me and change my ways and change who I am. And he brought Beachbody to me in 2010. And because I was in such a desperate state of needing income to pay off all this debt that I had accumulated, I was not your, I was the typical MLM person that everybody runs from. I was pushing and a prodding and a begging and a pleading, and Yeah, I lost a lot of friends for that. And I think so this time around, when it was put in front of me almost a year ago, July will be a year, I at that point told myself I was done with MLMs. I was done with trying to make something of myself. I was just going to work and run with it. Wherever I was supposed to be, I felt like God would put me there. Well, I ended up in a business school, a training to help build an online business. And ultimately, I was really doing it more so to help my husband's and I's rental business to really explode and help grow. And I met Lindsay, who is now my mentor, but she was the lead of a little group. They split us off in, and we had to introduce ourselves and tell our stories. And when she said she was a Beachbody coach, I thought, oh hell, pardon me, but that's my exact words. I thought, what is this about? And so as time went on, Lindsay and I kind of got to know each other, and she started talking about how she had her team call one night, and I can't tell you the topic of her team call, but it really intrigued me, and I thought, man, this is something that I can apply towards our business, because I knew that Beachbody had fabulous training, and I knew that Lindsay obviously was successful because she was a millionaire in less than 4 years. So I just asked her, I said, hey, can I listen to your team call? And she said, sure. So 8 times later, so 8 weeks later, basically, here I am, a Beachbody coach again. And though this last year hasn't been easy, it's been a lot of ups and downs in both my marriage and raising a brand new child for the first time at age 33 and trying to build a business. It's not been easy. And at the top of all of that, my marriage has really kind of been on the rocks. And so I thought to myself, if I pushed hard in this business and made success in this business, that everything else would fall into place. And I was wrong. I was really wrong. So the beginning of May, I had an unfortunate event. It was a huge wake-up call. I won't go into details for the fact of the other people involved, but man, it was a huge wake-up call. I ended up spending the night in a resort lobby because at the time I didn't know that resorts could rent out rooms. They couldn't rent out rooms all hours of the night. They had set times. So I sat in the lobby from 3 a.m. until 7 a.m. the next morning. And let me just tell you, God and I had a long, long talk. Talk about a wake-up call to your life. And so he just put in front of me some areas that I really need to work on, and where I really need to align a lot of things in my life for things to fall into place. And though I have been successful in this last year, I really felt like it has been a fight to stay afloat and to believe that it was possible. The reason I tell you all of this, because I want to be completely transparent. When you have a dream and a vision and you believe in yourself, so much is possible. And at that point that you finally feel like something's going to happen, man, Satan's going to come in and try to tear it down and tear you down. And that's exactly what he's done to me. He has tried so hard, but I'm telling you what, I'm not giving in, because God has given me this bigger vision of what my life is supposed to be like. And now that I'm aligned with God's will for my life, and my priorities go God, my husband, my child, my family, business, it's amazing how things start to fall in. And I think the reason that God gave me a little taste of success in the beginning, because he wanted me to believe that I could do this and believe it was possible to help people and inspire people to change lives. And he kind of took it back from me and let it all kind of crumble so that I could see where my priorities were wrong and where I need to refocus. And so that's exactly what I've done. And in less than a month, almost 2 months, it's amazing what's happening. I'm more focused. I dedicate more time to my family and God, and it's just amazing how your business falls into place. Before I was trying to work this all hours of the day, and I wasn't getting anywhere. I just felt like I was spinning my wheels in mud. And now I work less than 10 hours a week, less than 20 hours a week, I'll say that, because I'm still working on some sleep issues with my son and some scheduling, but it's possible. And ultimately all I really do is love on people and care about people and show them that there is something out there for them. To give you a little bit more about where I've come from, My husband and I, less than 2 years ago, were about $1,000 in the hole every month. And we knew we had to make some big changes. I mean, I drove a brand new Jeep Wrangler. He drove a truck. We lived it like we wanted to. We went and did. We traveled, and we knew that we had to make changes. So we both sold our new vehicles. We sold our house, and we moved in with my father-in-law. What was supposed to be a year turned into almost 3 years. And I drive a 97 Lexus. He drives now a work truck, but we also have a 2010 Jeep Cherokee. I mean, they're paid off. They're done. So I share all this with you because it takes a change in your life, and it takes a change in your mindset to really achieve the bigger goal. We've had a lot of things come at us for some of our situations and some of our decisions, but him and I know our bigger vision, and it's brought us closer together, and it's pushed us forward. I now just am able to work from home. This is what I do. He just resigned from his job that he was miserable in, and gets to go back to a passion that he loves in July. So, and also we live in our own home. No, we're not millionaires, but I mark my words, we'll be there. And because we have a bigger goal, and now that our priorities are aligned with what God wants in our lives, things are changing. So I really hope that this kind of touched you and inspired you, to show you that anything is possible as long as you have a dream, as long as you want something more. But just know that it is work. It's like going through school again, starting out at high school and going through high school and college. It's not going to happen quick. But if you are determined and you are self-motivated and you are driven, you can have it. You can have any dream you want. And it does take a lifestyle change for some time. If you can, somebody's always said to me, it takes short-term sacrifices for a long-term vision. And it's the truth. My friends and family travel all the time, and don't get me wrong, I get a little jealous. But at the same time, I know my bigger goal in the end, and that's where we're headed, and that's where we'll be. So, I hope this inspired you, and I hope this touched you a little bit, and thank you for listening.